Testing, 1, 2. Alright. My name is Ron Washington. I'm in Wu-Tang Clan. Just testing out the material. So, I didn't want to squander this opportunity to talk to you, so I kind of organized myself on paper. But I will probably good morning. Let me thank Tom and the CreativeMornings team. It's kind of not only is it exciting, but it's humbling to be asked to do stuff like this and to have your peers nominate you to do it. So I want to also thank Christina Masalo from Spaces, who I think was really the person like, you should come out, yeah. And then, I've learned over the years that when you do these kind of things, you have to thank the sponsors, so thank you, sponsors. Yeah. So, the question of revolution, personal politics, identity, and grassroots organizing in post-riot cities. It sounds like a term paper, or one of those policy matters, think tank pieces, which, I'm proud of the title, you know what I mean? Yeah, nailed it. And then also the concept of the fact that Creative Mornings is internationally situated and that we're discussing revolution as a theme is not only kind of overwhelming, the word revolution, right? But when you look across the world, so many places are in the middle of revolt, in the middle of challenge to power. And then when you get back down to the micro level, here in Cleveland, we're upset about a few things, put it mildly. And there seems to be this pattern with revitalized cities where we think we can't critique. Because if you critique it, you're not for it, which, I think we do that a lot. That's a misnomer. Nothing grows without healthy debate and critique. So I wanted to make sure I said that. You want me to use that thing? Yeah, you want me?
I think the folks raise your hand if you can hear in the back. There's barely anybody raising their hand back there, Rob.
Really? I just saw
It's like maybe 3 or 4.
Did you do both? Damn. All right, cool. You got to stand here then. All right, cool. Cause so I can just come. Yeah, there it is. All right. Where was I? Thomas.
Critique is healthy.
Oh my God, Thomas. Just mansplaining up here, telling me what to do. Okay, so I really wanted to think about the historic legacy of the word revolution and the fact that, hi, I'm African American and I'm doing this talk about revolution on a roof of a creamery. Shit. And as I look out, I see all my beautiful white people. Hi, hello, white people. Hi. So at some point in this, I wrote down that we were going to talk about the fact that, like, a lot of these institutions, we have some of the best institutions in the world in Cleveland, world-class institutions who somehow, and I don't want to put my tin hat on, I don't think it's malice, I'm not going to say it's malice, but for some reason they can't seem to get the word out about shit that they do. Only a select few of us find out. So we're talking about cultural currency. Let's think about it from this point of view. Okay, there's money, and there's information,
And in places that, like the Rust Belt, cultural currency increases to be a capital that you can kind of exist with and have a good life, because you live here, it's cheap, right? And if you know what's going on, you can go all over the city and have amazing experiences at these world-class institutions. The issue is that no one knows in the communities at large, no one really knows about any of that shit. Tons of free shit, and no one knows. But we'll get back to that. In the last 15 years, the Department of Justice has come to Cleveland. Think about Empire Strikes Back, and then let yourself go there. All right, so they come to Cleveland and they say, you know, your police department is horrible. It does this and this and this and this. Right, we don't need to list the offenses, right? So they come up with a plan in a little room, mostly dudes. Yeah, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this. All right, and then they agree and they call it a consent decree. Right. And then these changes that they're gonna make to improve the police department come with a cost, like millions and millions of dollars, you know. We had to train the police, we gotta get better. And then, you know, it ticks up millions of dollars, right? In a city that really doesn't know how to pay for anything. Civically. Like, we seem to be able to pay for things privately, and our nonprofits seem to be able to get endowments, but like the city itself, the engine that drives this little wonderful weird place that we have doesn't seem to be able to pay for itself, and it always gets itself into trouble where it's paying millions and millions of dollars for something that they could have fixed a long time ago, right? So how do we begin to enter into those conversations and influence those conversations, right? How, because I think you guys are all smarter than the council, city council, I think. I would say. You can clap your hands if you think so. It's okay. I mean, if city council people are your friends, that's okay. You can exclude them. You could be like, well, that's my friend, Joe Zimmerman, he's smart, and he is. And my friend Mazzone, he's smart, and he is. But collectively, they not so brilliant, right? We can critique them because I don't work for them. Ta-da! So, right now, in Cleveland, two major things have happened. Well, three things. Officer Braylow, who has become this figurehead for extreme excessive force, right, got off. You know, and let's be honest, a lot of us don't think he should have, right? I don't think he should have, but they charged him with the wrong thing. And then, you know, when we went out and marched around, we kept on saying the wrong thing too. And then he got off. Duh, dumb. So, also, the police department is not their police department, right? There's no such thing as their police department or their fire department. It's our police department, right? Because if you live in the city proper, your taxes pay their salary, so they are your employees. So it's your police department. So anytime your police department acts up, our police department acts up, we have a hand in it. Shit, that's a lot. Okay, damn. I did it. You know, I fired 45 shots on top of a roof of a car. No, you didn't pull the trigger, but you bought the gun. Ooh, quiet. That's a lot to deal with. So, in the meantime, we know about it, but we're gonna forget about it right now and go to the bar and get a microbrew and watch the Cavs, because I can't deal with all that. All right, so then the second thing that happened, right? Tanisha Anderson dies. Okay? She dies in custody. So when you die in custody, someone did something. You know, you weren't dead before they got there, and now you're dead. So, what do you charge? What do you say happened? What is the crime? All right, and then finally, the most blatant, the Tamir Rice shooting. Car pulls up. Immediately, right? Which breaks protocol. Because if there's an armed suspect, you're supposed to be 10 feet away. So, if they would have just stopped the car 10 feet, Tamir Rice will be celebrating his 13th birthday on Saturday. But, boom, 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 on video, here you go. The community's like, murder! You murdered Tamir Rice. Well, yeah, Tamir Rice was murdered, but we cannot charge the officers with murder because they were at their job and we employ them. And if we continue to say murder, they gonna get off. Ta-da! So those three things, revolution, whatever. Okay, so those three things are weighing on the consciousness of Cleveland. It's right there. Right? At the same time, the city is like galvanizing the downtown. Downtown's never been so vibrant, with so many wonderful little plans to make it even more so, make it walkable. And the urgency of it. You're like, they finally hear us. No, they don't hear you. The RNC's coming. They didn't hear a damn thing he said. They're just doing it because the RNC's coming. You know? Okay, so time for 10 hats. Because I'm going to jump around. My 10 hat theory is the RNC is not coming to turn Cuyahoga County into a Republican voting base. They're coming for your water. Oh my God. They're gonna come here on public dimes and have private conversations with private investors about your water. 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 Okay. Does that sound crazy? How many of you have ever thought, you know, just sitting at the house, hey, I got a plan for the water. You know, anybody? No? I do this sometimes, like I'm in charge. I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna plan the water. We're the only port city where the downtown doesn't point to the port. I don't know how we did that. In the side, there's a Chester Himes memoir. You know who Chester Himes is? Chester Himes wrote Cotton Comes to Harlem. He's a black writer, Harlem Renaissance. He was friends with Richard Wright and blah, blah, blah. In his memoir, which I read when I was like 19 years old, and I remember the day I got it. I was supposed to be in Calculus 2 at Cleveland State, but I hated the teacher, so I decided I was going to go to the library, and I was messing around. I saw this book, Hard Times, Part 1, Chester Himes. So I read it, just in the stack, sitting there. Read it, didn't go to any classes the whole day. And I got to this part in the book where he says he was at a after-hours dice game, and all the domestic workers of the rich families would be at this dice game, and one of the guys got drunk on moonshine and began to tell what one of the families had in the house. Oh, they got gold, da da da, blah blah blah. And Chester Himes, being, you know, an adventurous young man, he decides, I'm gonna go to this house, I'm gonna steal all that shit. Right? As he's telling you the story, he does an aside and he says, he tells the story of this German developer who owned the land that is now the Blue Line. right? And that this developer was trying to get the blue line to go all the way to the lake. He's gonna do some crazy development. So I don't know if Chester Himes is telling the truth, but imagine if someone owned the blue line, but another family owned the red line, and it was a battle to see who was going to be the terminal tower. And the other guy won, not the blue line guy. The red line guy won. So that's why that's there instead of, where would it actually be? Oh, over there. I don't know. You know. Anyway, so infrastructure, all this shit. Let me get back to my notes. Reckless homicide. I just wanted to put it out there because, you know, that's what it is. Tamir Rice, if you want to talk about Tamir Rice, it's a reckless homicide, right? That's what they can charge him with. That's it. Improper use of a firearm, reckless homicide. That's it. Not murder. Don't say murder. Don't go out marching with your signs and say murder. Okay. So, with all this going on, everybody's like, is Cleveland gonna riot? Is Cleveland gonna riot? You remember this a couple weeks ago there. Is Cleveland gonna riot? I don't know what that paper is. I don't know. Oh, that's the last part. Yeah, I'll get that from you later. So the city, the mayor's saying, Cleveland, we're gonna riot. We're gonna do something about it. Don't you riot, right? People in West Park being like, don't you riot. You better not riot. And most of the community being like, you ain't rioting. You saw what happened last time. You see what happened, you know. So, what if there was such a thing called post-riot design? Post-riot design. What if there was a thing called post-riot design? And so cities who had riots in the 60s and 70s would design to implement this post-riot design. And say, we're not building the parts that was rioting up ever again. Oops, you did it, you're done, right? So that power base that once was these areas, 105, Huff, Lexington Avenue, those don't get built up. We just gonna ignore them, right? And then we're gonna build infrastructure so we can drive right past them, because we don't want to remind each other of when we was fighting, when we was riding. Or as, you know, people who are actually scholars of it, they call it the Glenville and Huff Rebellion. So there's this disconnect about what it's called. You know, city folk call it, you know, city officials, that was a riot. And then the grassroots community calls it a rebellion. We were in a rebellion, right? Mayor Jackson's like, I'm your mayor. I don't know you right now, but I'm your mayor. Don't you riot. And everybody's like, damn, this white guy is talking crazy. Authenticity, identity. Ooh, we're not gonna go there though. So, no matter how angry we are at the collective treatment of black and brown folk by our division of police, we also know that the city cannot afford to riot. We have the collective memory of Huff, of Glenville. We know what riots cost. Whatever is happening in our city, for better or for worse, happens with us, because of us. We may not pull the trigger, I said this before, but we bought the gun, yo. So what does it have to do with personal identity and grassroots organizing. When you go on social media, you see everybody who is not black or brown. If they're progressive, they're posting, allyship type posts, which is awesome. So many of us have good intentions about what kind of world we want to be in. But how can you be an ally? What does allyship actually mean? It sounds like something some academic came up with, and then it got bantied about via Twitter, and next thing you know, there was allies and there was Black Lives Matter. Well, Black Lives been mattering for a long fucking time, but we didn't have a hashtag. Right? There was no allyship degree you can get from Oberlin. You just care about some shit and then you do it. Community garden up, So, in 50 years, there will be no one alive who didn't, maybe Steve Smith might be alive still, because he's awesome like that. But there won't be anybody alive that didn't have the internet. I mean, it's possible everybody that knew the world before the internet will be dead. I don't mean to be, I don't know. I don't know anything about medical shit, but like black people die real early, so I'm thinking 50 years is a long time, right? Damn, what are you talking about? When you look at the communities that have been the hardest hit in terms of lack of economic resources, population, you can trace some of the policies that led to this fracturing of community tissue all the way back to the city's response of Huff and Glenville rebellions. None of these communities were built back to pre-riot status, and that neglect has led to an underlying resentment amongst communities. Those areas see the investments of the near west side, right? They see the downtown, and they say, that's not for me. We all know that if there's a free concert by the Cleveland Orchestra, everybody get to go. It's free, right? They want you to go. What's his name? Klaus Weiser Most. What's the conductor's name? France. This guy, he wants everybody there. You know what I mean? Because then he can go to the board like, I have everyone in Cleveland at the Orchestra. I need $20,000 more in my check, whatever. I just imagine that that's how it works, right? You can go to the board and you say, I want $20,000 more. I got you, I am a conductor. Conduct. All right, so what does that have to do with personal identity? Well, there's things that I want to tell. And I'm sorry if this excludes some of you that are older. If you're as old as me, it doesn't matter, it's a wrap. Sorry, this is not for you. I'm not gonna be talking to you right now, okay? But if you're young, and you just got out of school within the last 10 years, let's consider that young, right? Or you're just about to go to school, right? This is what it probably feels like. Oh shit, sexism, racism, patriarchy, this. Huge amount of problems. School debt, how I'm gonna pay for it? There's no jobs, what? Right? So you go on your Facebook, and you look around, and you try and stay world conscious. You try to have a world view. Trying to stay positive, trying to connect with people who believe the things that you believe, right? You see a wonderful Justice for Tamir poster, you share it, because you believe that Tamir should have justice, and you should share it. So you begin to have a digital empathy, because the problems that you see are so overwhelming and so large that you can't even begin to unpack how you would be able to change it. Let alone how you're gonna take care of your fucking self. And where you're gonna work when you get out of school, how you gonna pay for the student loan, what about mom, dad, when they get old, you right? So the concept of if you do not get into trouble, if you graduate from school, you lead the straight and narrow, you will be fine. It's not true. You know, it's been 3 generations even since that was true. And the funny thing about it is, and I tell people this all the time, like, I have friends from everywhere, and I listen to them. And, you know, usually we like to blame the white dudes for everything, right? But some of these young white dudes, they ain't do nothing. They hate their dad too. They with you. You're like, fuck him. I'm mad. I'm dropping out. You know? And you see them at Food Not Bombs walking around with no slippers on and serving meals. You're like, you need to be going out there and getting the funds. He's like, I can't find a job. I don't know what to do. Right? So increasingly, even being male and white does not guarantee that you're gonna be fine. What are you gonna do with that? So now you can't ignore it at all. Well, it's not happening to me. Because now it's happening to everyone. So, how do we build grassroots organizations that address any of this? Well, for one thing, you cannot go into Huff and say, I know what Huff needs. We make that mistake all the time. You gotta go into Huff and ask Huff what it needs. You gotta go have a conversation, right? Now, if the municipality continues to get into trouble, and that trouble costs them millions of dollars that they don't have, right? And increasingly, the philanthropic sector is being asked to pay for whatever the difference is, right? If they continue to get asked to pay for whatever the difference is, they cannot fund your young, new, innovative project. Oh, shit. What are we gonna do now? I had this wonderful idea where I was gonna teach kids how to walk on stilts and juggle and program at the same time. And I went to Cleveland Foundation, he's like, I'm sorry, we're paying for the consent decree. We can't give you no grant. Right? I mean, I'm being funny, but this is the reality of what's going to happen, right? Jackson gonna be like, well, we can't pay for it. And then he gonna go out and have meetings with Gunn and Cleveland and Coolis and whoever, right? And ask them to pay for it. That means less money for mid to small organizations. Now, we will still take care of our Museum of Art, because we have to. And we will still take care of the orchestra, because we have to. You know, we have to take care of Playhouse Square, we will, right? But the little organizations, the ones that are on the ground in the grassroots communities, in the underprivileged communities, the ones that a lot of you plugged into coming out of school, they won't be getting that money. And a lot of the programs that we come up with in our little office, you know, with our Rising Star coffees and shit, have nothing to do with the communities, because communities are not at the table to talk about what the design will be. Sounds daunting, right? Revolution. When I was a kid, I heard the word revolution, I thought of Che Guevara and shit, you know? nice beard, great chin, looking over her horizon, guns, freedom for everyone, and everybody eating fucking tortillas, beans, you know, everybody cheering in the streets, African drums, you know, everybody dancing. And then I heard about the Black Arts Movement, the Weathermen, and all these organizations, right, in the 60s, right? Revolution, you know, you meet these guys on campus, revolution. This guy that was talking about revolution right now, you know what he does? He works at fucking Dairy Mart. He works at somebody's Yahoo place, right? He's got 3 kids. He don't talk about revolutionary. He's not revolutionary. He's trying to live. Because the concept of revolution has nothing to do with anything but yourself. How do you make it sustainable for you? How do you define it for you? How do you define manhood for you? What does it mean to be a man? Ooh. Before, queer was just, you know, I wear weird shit. Now queer, you have to learn a whole new lexicon. And you better get up on it, because you do not want to get told on your Facebook that you're not an ally of the queer community. So then now you studying that. But you're not really understanding, you know, what it means to be trans, what it means to be queer, what it means to be any of it, right? Because it's too much information. Digital empathy. Get on the ground, yo. Have a conversation. That's the only way you're going to be able to get the information you need. That's the only way that you can make community. So, I'm supposed to let you talk too and ask questions, right? I just want to, I highlighted all these problems. You know, a lot of times people do that. I hate that. But I have a few ideas of solutions that we could, just little things that I want to throw out, okay? You ready?
Yep.
All right. What if there was a community communications core that went into communities and asked the questions, to have the discussions that led to projects, right? And communities were awarded money for those projects based on how many conversations and how many people participated in said conversations. So it has a built-in rubric, because, you know, foundations love rubrics. A rubric is needed. We have to be able to study what you got the money to do. Did it work, motherfucker? I'm not giving it to you again, you know. So that's just one design, right? Base it on merit. Okay, the other thing is, we got a problem on the east side, yo, where the housing, you can't get it, you know? If you wanted to go and get a house from the land bank, you'd have to jump through a few hoops. Not crazy hoops, people do it all the time, but they're hoops nonetheless. What if we were able to create policies that kind of streamline the process of taking over a bad house? And what if we put pressure on the banks to give out mortgages to refurbish houses? Because they don't like to do that. They'll give you a loan on a new construction way quicker than they will to fix some shit. God forbid you want to fix it. We can't charge you 30-year fixed rate on that, you know? So, those two things. What do we have? We have lots of land. Lots of brown out fields and lots of houses, right? But increasingly our population is shrinking. Because when cats graduate from here, they the fuck out. Well, guess what? San Francisco done priced themselves out, so nobody going there, right? You know? And every fourth person in Chicago is in a gang. I'm teasing. I'm sorry. Chicagoans, I'm kidding. Don't hurt me. And then who wants to go to New York? Is boring. So expensive. I don't want to go to New York. Right? People want to live here, man. It's awesome here. But we're not thinking outside of the box. And we're not having conversations. Thanks a lot.